song in there. It was just
This is
too easy.
I just had to give everybody a free show.
Yep.
Connecting to the Methot. Methot now connected.
This is the Wally and Methot Show live. Now, here are your hosts, Brent Wallace and Mark Methot.
We made it. Welcome to the Wally Methot Show live. I'm Brent Wallace. He's Mark Methot, who, just like Tom Brady, will announce of his retirement because the to-do list is getting too long at home.
I agree, Wally.
Wouldn't that be safer?
It's getting expensive with the 4 dogs.
I didn't even thought of that. You're going to need a signing bonus.
Yeah.
As always, the Wally Methot Show live is brought to you interaction.com. Go to sportsinteraction.com, Canada's only online sports book and casino. They're the only ones. They're awesome. They, by the way, only have one NHL game on tap. That's tonight, Meth. That's the Sens and Arizona Coyotes. They have Ottawa listed as the favorite. Now, just before you tell me what you're going to do here, Arizona's won 4 of 5. Ottawa has won 2 of its last 8. That includes losing to Arizona 8-5 back on March 5th. Philip Gustafson hasn't won since November. That's 0-6. And somehow they're the favorites in this one.
Yeah, but Wally, I think forgetting about the numbers right now just for a moment, well, I guess I'm not totally forgetting about the numbers. They've been absolutely rinsed over their past few games, especially against Chicago. It was an epic collapse. Did not do that well against Seattle. Same applies for the last game against Phoenix. You have to think at some point they're going to clean this up. I mean, defensively, I feel like they're going to play a real stingy game tonight. So, and DJ's going to get them ready to go. So I'm taking the under, and I'm calling a 3-2 win for the Ottawa Senators. Okay.
Wow. Okay. I think they're going to have another collapse like they've had in the last 2 games. They just can't hold the lead.
That's good that you're
positive.
Good.
We'll move on because
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm more nervous for this guest than any other that we've had on because I know he knows things about me that I don't remember, and that concerns me.
Well, he's written a few books, so we know that memory.
You can have old
he doesn't have a
on.
foggy memory. Yeah, like he's legit. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah. So our guest today, by the way, has won 8,500 awards, I think, already. And this one is brought to you, as always, by Whitewater Beer. Go to shopwhitewater.ca. Use the wham.funkyfresh coupon code and load up 15% off your next order and try out the new Kiwi Lime Sour. It is phenomenal. It is the official beer, by the way, of the Hockey Hall of Fame. That is Whitewater. It's brewed by friends for friends. Stop by also their restaurant, 78 Cobden Road, and pick up some pints on the way if you are traveling out that area. All right, let's get right to it. He's written 4 books. He podcast. Sometimes he's occasionally watched on national television, and he hobnobs with all the stars. James Duthie, our good friend. Welcome to the show.
It is a true honor to be the absolute last TSN staff member, past or present, to appear on the show. You went through every analyst and host, and then you went through all the reporters. You went through some people that hadn't been on in a while, like Lisa Bowes, I think you had on, Teresa Cruz, David Pratt, Bob Pronick, Sunil Joshi. You went through some of the cafeteria staff. Michael Whalen. Let's see, I'm trying to think of some Ottawa guys. Rob Sinclair, known Ottawa reporter.
Mark Bunting.
And then you finally, Mark Bunting. And then you finally got to me. Yeah. So it is a true honor to be with you two.
It's twofold. One is I had to make sure everybody else got on first because they told me they had to be on before you. And 2, as I said, and you may have not heard, I'm nervous because you may know things that I've forgotten over the years that on the road that we may have traveled together or something. So You're quick-witted and you remember stuff, and I don't like that.
Yeah, but on the road, you were never there. You were always mysteriously out on your own somewhere. So I don't even have great road stories for you because it would be like, where's Wally? Oh, Wally's, somewhere else. Like Wally,
I wasn't
he was
invited.
like a mystery. He was a mystery man. Wally, I think we might have started on the same day or within like a very short time of each other because the first time I ever met you was inside Mike Day's office, who was then the sort of the boss of sports desk. What was his position? Like the manager?
Executive
I don't know
producer.
what his position was. Yeah, so he was the guy sports desk, and I came in my first day and came into his office, and you were sitting there, and this was this young buck they hired out of, I don't know, New Brunswick. Where the hell are you from? A little beatnik town.
Yeah, Fredericton.
And yeah, and you and I and John Gallagher, I think we're all hired at the same time. So there you go.
August 1st, 1998. That would have been the day.
Okay, so I actually was hired a little bit before you because I started my first.
Sorry, I started on
July
August 1st.
Oh, okay.
So you were.
So you might have been in earlier.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were going to come on because I heard late last night that you were the guy that bought the Tom Brady football for $518,000, and now it's pretty much worthless.
What a horrendous. First of all, I mean, do you really think like you would have had that in your head that there's a possibility? Like I would have put after Tom's retirement a solid 50-50 that he was coming back. So you're still going to fork out over $500,000 for that football when there's a chance he's coming back. Second of all, probably the guy who's forking out whatever it is for a Tom Brady football
exactly
is probably not some guy, working down at the at the Walmart or whatever, wasting his life savings. He's probably got, it's probably some sheik somewhere, so we don't have to feel too sorry for him.
I don't know. Sometimes people get involved and they get in over their head and they're like, I'm going to make a ton of money doing this. But
my biggest
I just want to point out, by the way.
Go ahead. Sorry, Wally. Go ahead.
No, that's all right.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I cut you off again. When you're making this decision at that age, like all I could think is, has he had any normally family life yet? Like ever since he came into the league to now, like you have to have an incredibly supportive wife to keep playing close, like closing in on your 50th birthday, right? Like your mid 40s. How does he get away with this?
I think this is just more
$900 million.
He realized what life is like. Like he has led this life of like, he's led the perfect life forever, right? He's the most, he's the best football player ever. He's got the looks. He's got the supermodel wife. He's got this dream life. And I think 2 months of actual reality, it's still not a real reality, his life. But, Tommy, do the dishes or whatever. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't know about this deal.
It's true. And Giselle's worth as much, if not more than he is, right?
More, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. All right.
I just think, it's kind of, even if he was going to come, I guess he had to let the Bucks know so they could make the appropriate moves or whatever. But it's kind of the wimpiest retirement ever. Like it's a bit laughable, right? It takes it knocks him down a tiny bit to me because, come on, what was it, a month or something like that, or 2 months? At least
even,
6 weeks.
Yeah, it's a bit. Meth, did you ever? I can't remember. You never retired and then came back, right? When you retired, you were done. You didn't.
I never announced it right away because I thought maybe in a year my knee would feel better.
Smart.
So
Smart.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Take your time and whatever. I mean, like I said, this is a different situation where he was trying to do the Bucks a favor so they could move on and get another quarterback maybe. But I don't know. It's just just the lamest couple of months retirement ever.
It's wild to me. The reason we brought you on, and in particular this time of year,
the only reason
I purposely did this, I big brained this. It's TradeCenter coming up a week from today. So it is basically, I would think after the birth of your children, the greatest thing that you guys have ever developed. Would that be fair?
Jeez.
Well, you haven't met my kids, so that's one thing. And secondly, no, I would think it's probably the worst thing we've ever developed. Although I guess it's worked out okay for the network. When I started in hockey, I guess I started hosting hockey in '02, '03. And back then, TSN always did something at the trade deadline, but at first it was little updates where maybe Jim Van Horn would just, come on and update and interrupt, like, what was it? Kiana's flex appeal or something to do like an to do an update on a trade. And then maybe around the turn of the century, maybe it was Jim and Bob McKenzie and Gord Miller or something sitting on the desk for a couple of hours. And then I think what changed everything, I think my first year maybe would have been 2003. We did like maybe a 4 or 5 hour show. And then if you guys remember, the night that Todd Bertuzzi hit Steve Moore was the night before the trade deadline. And that happened, it was a West Coast game, so that happened at like 12:30 at night or 1 in the morning. I can remember our old boss, Wally, Mark Milliere, waking me up at 3:30 in the morning and saying, hey, it's Mark. You got to get in right now. Bertuzzi hit Moore. So I got to the station. That's only funny to people who know Mark Milliere. I got to the station at
it's very good.
5:30 in the morning, and nobody was there. There was me and one cameraman, Troy, and they didn't have a lighting guy even to turn on the light. So he had an old bash light, and I was sitting alone at this desk by myself and doing TradeCenter. Then Glenn Healy came in, and slowly people started to come in. But that was the day where we sort of went for 12 hours straight. And after that, it was, we're going on at 8 o'clock every year, and it became this whatever the hell behemoth that it is right now. And for good or for better or for worse, I would say, I guess.
It has an unlimited budget. That's all I know, because you've brought in monkeys and llamas. The Prime Minister's race out of Ottawa even made an appearance. If you were to pick another animal to have on the set, what would it be?
I want to see something that I've never seen before in person, like a Gorillas in the Mist, like an absolute wild gorilla, where there'd be the unpredictability of would it just sit there in the corner, or would it literally beat Pierre LeBrun to death? That would be the kind of adventure that would keep people watching the entire show. Or like something lovable like a panda. But LeBrun kind of is like a panda anyway, so maybe we already have that. Something like that. I think I realized, the one thing I realized when we started this is how ridiculous it was, even from those early years, that it was silly to do an 8-hour or 10-hour show when most of the trades were seventh defensemen and future prospects and things like that. And so I've always thought that we should have a self-awareness to give a little wink to the audience that, yes, we realize this is dumb. We really do. We're going to talk seriously about hockey because we know you love hockey and we love hockey. And so we're going to talk seriously about hockey. But at the same time, we know this is idiotic. And I think we sort of still keep that in mind the entire time. The year with the llamas, there had been a llama chase on down in Arizona or something. Remember? There was like there was like llamas crossing the highway. And I think it was Bill Dodson, our producer, who called me like the Friday before trade deadline and said, we should get llamas. And that is just like a ridiculous conversation. Like, how many hockey production conversations go, hey, we should get llamas? And the next thing you know, the llamas are, and Gino's out wrangling the llamas. Actually, my favorite part of that day was, once Gino wrangled the llamas in the parking lot, we literally had the helicopter out there. It was pre-drones time. And we said, well, we got these llamas here. We got to keep using them. So I said, bring the llamas in the studio and have them just walk, let them free like behind the desk. But we're not going to make any reference that they're even there. So we'll do a 5-minute panel chat on the Senators power play.
Yeah.
But these llamas will be walking around behind us, but we will make no reference to them whatsoever. We'll just be like, yeah, guys, if Methot and Carlson, can get working better together, these freaking llamas are walking behind us. There you go. So, that was probably the height of the lunacy. I think my favorite day ever, Wally, was I decided to do something where it was like I wanted to pretend like it was a game, like you were at a game. And so all the goofy stuff that you see during TV timeouts, we would do. Right. And so that was the year we had the T-shirt cannon where Marty Biron hit Jennifer Edger, almost took her out with the T-shirt cannon. And we had the prime ministers from Ottawa. Do they still have those prime ministers at the games?
No, they haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, they haven't done it.
So we brought the prime ministers from Ottawa. We had a T-shirt cannon. We did like a kiss cam, which was really weird because Bob and Drake really started making out, and that was weird. And we did a whole bunch of weird things like that. And that was probably my favorite of them all. But the llamas were. I will say this: a couple of years ago, we got to a point where I did say, "Okay, guys, we gotta cut it back," because everybody was doing bits at this point, and then it started to be a complete and utter circus. And we do. The audience probably doesn't believe this, but my ruling is that if you do something stupid, you have to do like 30 seconds an hour or 1 minute an hour of something stupid, and the other 59 minutes has to be legit hockey talk. And so that's what we'll try to do.
And does that set a precedent, like moving forward? Like, are people just anticipating this shit now, JD, or is it just like the odd year you have to cool it down a little bit and then maybe bring something back the following?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've toned it down a little the last few years. Part of the reason was I just flat ran out of ideas. It's not like there's some big, this isn't the Kimmel show where there's like 10 writers in a room. Fair. Essentially, they usually come to me 3 weeks before and say, "What are you doing for deadline this year?" And so if I didn't have any ideas, and so I think there was one. We have Bar Down involved now, and Bar Down does goofy stuff. And there was one year, I think 2 or 3 years ago, where there was just too much going on, and so I said, "Let's just calm it down." The funnier stuff is really the stuff that happens naturally. Wally was part of one of the most famous moments ever when I was throwing to Wally for a hit, and there was like that 1 second satellite delay, like you guys have here, between me finishing my question to Wally and Wally answering, and Jeff O'Neill was starting to eat the hamburger and said, "Is there ketchup on that?" in the most lusty voice you've ever heard. And so poor Wally, I think that's Wally, for all the amazing work you did on trade deadline, and you did it time because the Senators were often in the middle of it. That's probably what people remember you for the most, being on screen when O-Dog said, "Is there ketchup on that?"
So we might as well get into. So let's break this down. So there's so much chaos that's going on at the moment. One is they've got all 4 Eastern reporters, or 3, whatever there is at the time, in a box, and they're like, "We're going to go to each of you, and you're going to John Lou first, and then we're going to Mark Masters and whatever." So you're listening, and you're trying to listen to James, and James has like 30 seconds to go, "What do you want to talk about?" And you're like, "I don't know." So you come out of, I think it's John Lou, and then it's like, "Oh, thanks very much. You're going out of our Brent Wally, our reporter in Ottawa." I'm so focused on just making sure I hear your cues to start talking. I never heard Jeff O'Neill for the most part. I just heard somebody mumbling. So I had no idea what was going on. None. And then, so I find out all this stuff is going on. It was the next year or the year after you wanted to make a documentary of this particular incident. So as I am preparing for this little interview today, I'd forgotten you called me to get me to record a voice of being pissed off at Jeff O'Neill. I'm not very good at being angry. And so I record, and you're like, "Be as angry as you want. You can swear. We'll bleep it out." And I'm like, "All right." So I gave it all 4 takes. I thought I nailed it. You call back like 2 days later, "Brent, we need you to redo it. Not be as angry." And I still didn't do it right.
Wait, now I can't. I had forgotten about that until right now. But it did make it in the piece, right? Because I didn't actually. I sort of conceptualized that piece, but somebody else produced it, Josh Scheiman. So you did make it in there, though, right?
I did, yeah. And so
tone down the anger, Wallace. Tone down the anger.
Listen,
I think it was something
Burger
like,
boy.
Yeah, it was something like, "That was my moment, all right? I waited 2 hours to get on. That was my moment to talk about the Ottawa Senators, and this Burger boy steals it from me."
Oh, yeah. So anyway, that's my high watermark of the entire 20 years at TSN.
Nice.
That's not true. And I was going to say this in the end, but I'll say it now. Like, you were one of our most valuable guys because the Senators were in the mix for so many years. In fact, the Senators, in many ways, saved TradeCentre for, I don't know, like a 3-year span there, where Carlson, even though he didn't get dealt, the idea of Carlson getting dealt, we think of it like a TV show for your viewers and listeners out there. You just need some sort of drama, right? That's to carry you through a show. And it's not necessarily what happens, but it's the idea of what might happen. In the case of Carlson, obviously, that was a massive thing. And so the possibility of Carlson getting dealt carry us through that entire show. And then, I don't know, was it 2 years later? I can't remember, with Stone and that whole deadline with was Duchesne, Dzingel, and Stone were all the same year, were they not?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Stone waited
until
the last day. So you were vital to us many a year there, buddy. And I say this sincerely, we miss you.
Well, much appreciated. Which leads me to my, I guess, next question. We've heard Pierre Dorian this week say your favorite phrase, "We're not expecting to do much," when you have an 8-hour or 12-hour show. Do you just want to strangle some jams when you hear that?
I think there was a period I went through where I would get really stressed before the deadline and worrying about nothing happening. And I don't know, maybe it's just getting older in life or whatever, or stop caring, that I sort of go into it now every year with the idea that nothing's going to happen. And that way, anything that happens surprises me pleasantly, right? If you go into TradeCentre with the mental idea that there will be 0 trades, then everything's a positive after that, right? And in many ways, this year there's been nothing that's happened, which maybe nothing will happen the entire time, but it's really rare for us to get where we are right now, a week before the deadline, and there to have been, besides a couple of the deals like the Toffoli deal beforehand, really no trades. And everybody on their little trade bait list is still out there. And so if that continues, even into the weekend, that'll be a good thing probably, because some of these guys are going to be dealt. And the worst thing for me is actually when there's a bunch of big names and they get dealt 2 weeks before or 10 days before, right? Once you get even to the week, even if they make it to the weekend, I don't care if guys get traded on Saturday or Sunday, because it's still fresh enough for us to talk about on Monday. So I don't think it's been a bad thing what's happened so far. There have been numerous indications that it might be a quiet day, but I sort of look at it now, guys, as a day to talk about hockey with a bunch of pretty smart hockey guys, right? We have about 20 whatever commentators on duty that day. And if you just sit around, guys like Ferraro, who I don't usually get to spend much time with besides a segment on a pregame show, now I get to sit beside him for 10 hours. And somebody like MJ, same thing, right? There's a lot of quality people we have that usually have to speak in 30-second sound bites, and now we can fill time and have real conversations. So I kind of look forward to
it. One of my favorites is to watch you have to drag stuff out for a long time. Like if the Leafs make a deal at 8 a.m. and it's the only deal for about 12 hours, let's say until noon, and you guys break that trade down like it's nobody's business. And it's like, it could be Tyler Ennis. And you guys have dissected every which way this industry.
Yeah. How do you think this will impact Nick Foligno's family? Let's start with his wife.
But it's true, though. The self-deprecation that you guys have, like, the biggest thing you can do for yourself is not take it too seriously. Like you mentioned that earlier, James. I couldn't agree more with you. So then as a viewer, when you're seeing that, like I do every year, I'm watching, it's not cringy when like nothing is happening and you guys are fumble effing a little bit and you're trying to figure out like what to talk about. When you guys are just loose and joking around, it's so much more enjoyable.
Well, it's a ludicrous concept to do a 10-hour show when, if a trade happens, if Tyler Ennis got traded in December, it would be a 10-second, 15-second VO on SportsCenter, right? That's all it would be. And but when it happens, because it happens on this day, it's now, and if nothing else is happening, it's now an hour of content, right? I always think of the moment there was a moment, I think I wrote about this in one of the books, maybe it's probably 10 years ago now, where it was a particularly slow day. We had zero activity, and about 1 p.m., a guy named Rob Flick was traded for a guy named Maxime Sauve, 2 minor leaguers, and it was the first trade we had. And we spent about 25 minutes on this trade, and then we got Rob Flick on the phone.
No.
So, you know, we always do the interviews, and I'm like, joining us now is, I don't remember, it was Chicago, and I can't remember the other end of that deal. But I'm like, joining us now, the newest member of the Blackhawks, Rob Flick. Rob, let me start with this. Who the hell are you? No, I don't know if I said that, but I thought about
would have
saying
been great.
Yeah, it's lunacy, and you know, people say, well, why don't you go on later? Why don't you go on at noon or go on at 10? And that's a legitimate question, frankly. And I used to go to my bosses and say, guys, what are we doing here? Like, why are we on at 8 o'clock in the morning? And they'd show us the ratings, and the ratings were really good.
Why.
And because people, hockey fans in Canada, we're all nuts, right? And I think it's a day that we celebrate how nuts we all are about this game, that we would sit around and watch a bunch of talking heads spew about depth trades. And in that way, I kind of love how we're all crazy together. I also think that it's akin to rubberneckers at an accident scene, right? A lot of the viewers are just watching to see, you know, watch this train wreck and see how it's going to go. And so you're all nuts is what I'm basically saying. And then we love you for it.
No, but it's true, because I'll just have the TV on playing all day. Like, I'll have TSN on all day long, and I'm just waiting for something. And then finally, when I can hear a little bit of, you know, cluttering or whatever, everyone starts really, the energy's picking up, then I'll pay attention. I think that's what most people are doing at home, right? You're not sitting there for 12 hours straight just glued. I think you have it on in the background, and then when you can hear something engaging, you walk up.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, like, around 11:30 or something on trade deadline, I'm just going to yell at you. I'm going to be like, hey, Matt, stop doing the laundry.
I'll perk up. Love it.
April 13th, April 3rd, 2013 is Rob Flick traded for Max Sauve, never played in the National Hockey League.
Oh, Jesus.
That's your guy.
Yeah, that was our voice, Robbie Flick.
Have we not paid the Methot today? It's going to be broken up on me.
What?
Question for you. There you are. Duthie, if you could have one famous celebrity co-host for the day on TradeCenter, who would it be?
I would say, like, I'll answer this a couple of different ways. Like, if for like legit for pure entertainment, like somebody like Barkley would be fantastic, right? Just to have him there, saying nonsense completely. That would be super fun. Now, if we were aiming, like, you know, bigger celebrities or whatever, just trying to think of beautiful actresses right now. That's where my mind goes right away.
You and me both.
Sure.
You know, we were. I'll stick with Barkley. We had one of my favorite years. We had Jay Baruchel was on because Goon 2 was coming out, and I was fortunate enough to have a little role in Goon 2, and so we did a bunch of stuff. We did a bunch of stuff with Jay. I think that was one of the years that was nuts because not only was Jay there, but the guys from Letterkenny got involved. And so we had a bunch of Letterkenny skits and we had Jay there. And it was the closest thing to like a Canadian TV, everything thrown into one bowl of soup, essentially. But there was a crazy trade that had, like, you know, those trades that have 15 different conditions on them? You know, that if this team makes it to the third round of the playoffs, this would be a third round pick, second round pick. And so we had Jay, like, dramatically, like, quite Shakespearean, like, read out all the conditions of this trade under dramatic lighting, and that was one of my favorite TradeCenter moments.
He's a huge Montreal Canadiens fan, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, he's a diehard, but he's one of those passionate guys that will yell and scream and swear at his TV, which is awesome.
Wally, are you still with us?
I think he's gone. You want to just continue on? Let's face it, this is what the people want anyway, right? The Meth and Jimmy podcast.
So
now, are people
are
people watching on YouTube? Do they see Wally just standing there trying to figure out why he's been cut off the internet?
I think he's frozen. This is, what's great, James, is that Wally typically will accuse me of having a shitty connection, but there's no question it's him. There he is.
He's back.
Wally, are you there, bud?
Here.
Oh boy, this isn't good. James, he's gonna have a full-blown meltdown after this show. Watch.
I just know the commenters, Wally, are saying this has been the best single 90 seconds in the history of the Wally and Meth podcast. That's what people are talking about.
I think he's frozen again. This makes me so happy. I know this sounds really bad, but I'm very happy about this right now because he's such a perfectionist, as you know. God forbid it's somebody else or it's his own connection. Anyway, I'm not gonna lean into him too much anymore because he's gonna get really upset with me. So
right. So do we forge on without him, or how does it
work?
let's
just okay, here. I'll ask you one of his questions for Wally. Okay, I know he's moving, he's there. Which co-host or panelist would you draft first on your hockey team, James?
Ooh.
Do you guys even play? Do you have like a group that you guys skate together?
There was some pickup games, Meth. I never played. Anybody who watched me as a legend with the Blackburn Stingers in the
is that where you played?
70s.
You played in Blackburn?
Yeah. So I moved. I was a BC boy. Well, I was born in Ottawa. Long story, but moved around a lot, and I was in Victoria from like 5 to 8. And so I was playing soccer all year round. And so when I moved to Ottawa, I think I was 8, almost 9, and I'd never skated before. So I was way behind everybody. And I always joke, my dad he didn't buy me a jock. My dad was super cheap. And he said, well, nobody can raise the puck in, well, I guess Adam or whatever that is.
No.
So I had no jock. And it was pre cages. So I had that one of those guards that was just one thin line that went down your nose and then around your mouth. I don't know if you remember those, like the weirdest looking things. That was my face guard. So I was a pure ankle skater on my Micron mascots. And back I think in Gloucester, it went like the levels of like House League Select or whatever before you made the Gloucester Rangers were like Greenbelt was like the highest. Then Valley, Forest, and Meadow. And I was Meadow. My first year I was Meadow. And then I made it to Forest. And then I made it to Valley. Now it was really creeping up close. And then I think I was Greenbelt or whatever. And then I was 14 by that point and started liking girls. So it's always been a bit of a shame to me. I did play intramurals at Carleton, and I thought that was like the peak of my hockey ability. Like I was pretty good in intramurals at Carleton, really coming into my own as a late bloomer. And then I stopped, and I never played again. And I played a father-son game when my son was about 9 or 10, and I fell on the star player on the team and knocked him out of the lineup. And I was so shaken by this that I decided I would not play. I was not going to play hockey again. Anyway, that's a very long-winded way to answer your question. I would think they still play pickup once in a while. Like O-Dog has the most raw talent, obviously, but I'm not picking him in the condition he's in. I watched him play. There's like a TSM ball hockey tournament, and that guy is like he's so gifted. Like he basically stood at center pavement, not center ice, and would just wire things top shelf. Scored about like 8 goals from 30 feet out just with this unbelievable hands and shot he has. I'd probably go Mike Johnson because I think Mikey keeps himself in shape still. Meth, obviously, you'd be right up there if you were healthy. You're the closest removed from playing probably. So definitely,
fair enough.
You know,
okay.
Bob McKenzie, if I wanted an enforcer, I'd take Bob McKenzie. He'd beat the crap out of you.
Okay. Listen, on that note, I don't think, because I'm pretty sure Wally wanted to go there a little as well. I don't think I've ever seen Bob like angry. Like I can see him get a little fired up, maybe a little annoyed. What makes Bob McKenzie pissed off?
Interactions with humans.
Come on.
So, Bob has this. You're back right now, eh, Wally? You can hear us now.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, I get a lot of people are talking about how good that segment was without you. But anyway, so Bob. First of all, Bob's one of my best friends, and he's a salt of the earth human being. I'll qualify that. But he's got the sort of Uncle Bob reputation that every Canadian loves him. He can go hot sometimes, and usually when he would go hot, it would be. I don't think he likes the big crowds, right? Like when we're, at a World Juniors or something and have to go through a crowd, like I'm always the one stopping and saying hi to everybody, and Bob just wants to cut through the crowd because he knows he's so popular, he's a legend that if he stops, he's going to have 100 people looking for autographs and so on and so forth. But there was a time, it was the 06 final. We were in Carolina, the Carolina Edmonton Cup final, and we had a set outside. There was some security around, but not a lot. Wally might have seen this clip somewhere along the way because it's in like the TSN like blooper reel somewhere. And a fan basically comes across and sort of like, I don't know, like taps Bob on the shoulder or something like that, right? Just some drunken fan. And Bob tries to throw this wild elbow, like, just... He would have taken the guy out. And then he calls him a few words that I cannot repeat on any podcast, let alone this one. and it's just one of my favorite moments. We would show it once in a while, once a year, just for kicks to laugh at because he was ready to go. Another time in Pittsburgh at a cup final, somebody threw a beer from the crowd that landed on him. And he was ready to go up and kill. So Bobby's the best in the world. Just don't cross him in a situation like that.
That's fair. All right.
It's funny. I reached out to Bob before this interview to say, hey, listen, I got James coming on the show. Do you have any kind of stories you'd share? Crickets. Never got an answer.
Buddy,
wow.
He's no longer contractually obligated to speak to you, right? He's semi-retired. Bob's a different animal to get a hold of right there. He only works his like 20 days a year.
Yeah, no.
And if you call him in the hours of those 20 days, you might have success. Outside of that, he's golfing in Florida. Or selling booze somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
There he is. Cameo.
Oh, shit.
If you had to drive to Vancouver, Brian Burke or Dion Phaneuf, who do you take?
I'm taking Dion in a heartbeat. Dion, I never really understood. I remember when Dion was in Calgary, I flew out and did a sit down with him, and that was just at the beginning of the whole Alicia Cuthbert stuff, where he was starting to make TMZ, and I had to ask him about it 5 different ways, and he was not pleased. But I got to know Dion a little bit better through a couple of different things, like golf tournaments. I used to go to Brad Richards, used to have a golf tournament out in PEI that Dion was usually at. And I think, and you guys know this from his time in Ottawa, like just personality-wise, was sort of one of the more misunderstood guys where he had that gruff, kind of like Burke. It's actually a really good question because they're both the same, Wally. Like they're both showed up, on camera as really tough. I'm not going to give you anything, but you get them away from the camera and both huge personalities. Burke, the story I always tell about Burke, speaking of TradeCentre, we would do an annual trade with Burke, interview with Burke on trade deadline, and he would go out of his way to scowl at me and give me nothing but one-word answers. By the way, I'm hoping we couldn't do that for a few years because he was working with the other guys, but now that he's back in a hockey position, I hope we can have him on Monday and recapture that magic, because I think people thought that he just absolutely hated me, right? And that it probably went both ways, but he would always like text me like the 2 seconds after the interview. Like the entire interview would be like, no comment, no. No. And then he texts me afterwards. He goes, "Wasn't I great? That was great TV, wasn't it?" Like 2 seconds after. And there was one year where I started getting texts on my phone from an unknown number or a number I didn't recognize, and the person was completely ripping the show. Like it was at the beginning. It was like just a bunch of Z's in a row, like snooze fest. You know what I mean? And then it was, "This is horrible television." Then it was, "Gino Reda would do a much better job." Like there was a string of about 8 of them, and I thought it was one of my buddies, right? So finally, when I had a commercial break, I'm like, "Uncle, all right, who is this?" And he's like, "It's Berkey. Do you miss me?" It was after he'd gotten fired by the Leafs the same year, and he had nothing better to do than just harass me on text for the entire time.
That's great.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
By the way, it just came out probably 20 minutes ago while I was trying to figure out why my wife is doing a conference call while my internet is slow. Is Austin Matthews got 2 games? I just sent her a text like, "Get off the internet. I know you're on a business call. This isn't the time." So, so Austin Matthews got a 2-game suspension. Are we surprised by this at all, James?
No, that's what I would have said. If you guys would have asked me about that, I would have said 2 games would have been my guess, because I saw Meth's tweet that he wanted the entire season and perhaps his career, which I respect. It was a bad cross-check for sure, but yeah. I do believe a lot in, the guy's was a Lady Byng candidate a few years. He's basically never done that before. He got schmucked about 3 times. So was the cross-check itself worth more than that? Maybe, but I think superstar status certainly plays into it 100%, and I'm okay with that as long as the superstar's been a clean player his entire career. So were you being sarcastic with you throw the book at Matthews, or
I just love trolling those fans. I love it. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Yeah. I think 2 games is about right. I don't think you could have, if you'd have just fined him, then you would have got a lot of heat from people saying, talking about the double standard. So 2 games to me is 100% fine.
I agree.
Should they perhaps have gotten more games based on their outfits they wore to the Heritage Classic?
When did this become a thing?
This year? This year.
Yeah, who started this?
There was, but in the old, a while ago, they used to dress up in their old, the fedoras, and they all look like they're from 1951. But then all of a sudden it got to be, I think this year, but I want to say a bit 2 years ago, perhaps.
Somebody did beach. Somebody dressed up as beach stuff, right? Was that this year or last year? And that was
this season. That was this year. But what about
St. Louis?
What about that Denver game? The outdoor game that happened in Colorado, and then they were almost going to cancel it. Was that last season? I'm so confused right now.
The Tahoe game?
The Tahoe game. Was that this year?
Last year, I think.
No.
It was last season, right? Yeah. Didn't they dress up, or one of the teams dress up for that one?
I feel
you're asking the guy who basically no memory.
So,
but it's certainly become a thing. And I thought the Nashville one, the Tampa one, was appropriate, right? You're in Nashville and you wear the Canadian tuxedos. That was awesome. The construction worker thing, I have no idea. But now it's
they
look
look like Lego men.
Yeah. What's that goofy show I shouldn't say goofy because it's on CTV, but The Masked Singer, which I think is the dumbest show in the world. But watch it on Crave. Is that where we're going to be next? I don't know.
That's great.
I don't know. I guess they look good. I'm not criticizing because I'm a big believer in hockey players showing more personality. Let it go. Do whatever the heck you want. I think it's awesome. Yeah.
No, let's cut this clip at the point where James finished his thought on how it was a little ridiculous or whatever, and then we're just going to post that and then bury him in his own market, okay?
No, I guess someone needs to understand explain the construction worker thing to me, but hey, do it. There you go. More power to you. I do not want to. The last thing I want to do is stop hockey players from having personality because that's what
fair.
We've been craving forever. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand, but at the same time, it was awful. Like somebody in that room went, guys, I got it. Like we're gonna rock this outfit, and then someone went, yeah, that's what it should be.
That's right.
Like I
Maybe I
think
should do a
now, all of you,
themed
when you
attire for
start
Trade
Trade
Center.
Center, when you
You
start
guys
Trade Center,
should.
you guys should all be dressed up as construction steel workers.
Right.
All
Or
right.
maybe we should do a village people type thing where one guy is the construction worker,
Yeah.
one guy's the cop,
Yep.
and so on and so forth.
But then it gets
Well, you could do that.
a little muddy there.
Let-
We'll leave it at
Let
that.
me.
Um,
Okay, hang
was the
on.
next
I don't
question,
want to keep you
Wally?
much longer. Let me show you Buffalo's because it's a lot better. Their outfits, obviously, that semi-pro look.
Awesome.
Yep.
They really went all in for this. I want to zoom
Awesome.
in on one particular guy who's a good friend of ours, Craig Anderson. So the 41-year-old goaltender doesn't look like he wants any part of this whatsoever.
That's just Andy in general.
I love it.
Well, and there was a
That's
group.
great.
Which team? There was a team the other day that dressed up as a bunch of bikers, right? Who was that?
I don't know. Like I said, it's all become a twisted mess
okay.
of Halloween to me.
Fair enough.
Finally, before we let you go, you are, I'm going to say, from Ottawa. You obviously played all your minor sports here. Will you admit now to being a Senator fan, even though you lived more than half your life in Toronto?
I get accused of it certainly a ton, and okay, I will say this: I root for the Sens to do well, mainly because I have so many friends in Ottawa who are Senators fans, and they've suffered long and hard. And there's a soft spot for that team in my heart because I covered them from the time they started back when I was with CJOH, CTV Ottawa. My mom and dad were diehards. My dad passed away a couple of years ago, but he was a diehard Sens fan. So obviously, you want people you love to be happy. So in that way, I cheer for them. But do I really care? Not really, right? I don't really.
I'm with
I
you.
would love to see Ottawa. I love going back to the city, like that run they had when they lost to Pittsburgh in Game 7. That was a lot of fun for me because we were back using that set, and we were there for most of the playoff games after the first round, I think. And I love that. I love going home and having the fans into it and how electric it was. So in that way, I cheer for them. It's more fun for me if the Senators go far, but I really don't. Anybody who thinks I, like the Sens, like the Leafs, hate the Sens, hate the Leafs is horrifically wrong. Leaf fans, by the way, all think I love the Sens. I get, as a host of Leafs on TSN, I do probably 15 Sens games. I think I do 15 Sens games a year, which most of the time all anybody says is, "Where's Lindsay Hamilton?" which I don't blame them for. And then I do all the Leaf games on TSN. A lot of Leaf fans think I hate the Leafs and love the Sens. So if that makes people happy in Ottawa, then there you go. You got that.
Nobody's ever happy. That's the one thing I've always learned. Before I let you go, this is my only chance I get to tell you because we aren't colleagues anymore, so I get to change how I approach this. You would come to me for live hits all the time. You're like, "Wally, what do you want to talk about?" I'm like, and you wouldn't have a whole lot of prep time. Just jot something down with on some scribbly paper because you're left-handed and I can't read any of your writing, and you would nail it. And I've never watched a person do this job so easily, and I was so jealous of how good you could be just by sitting down and starting to talk. So I just want to say I think you are amazing at what you do.
Well, thank you very much, Wally. I appreciate you saying that. Now, if you look back at all the tapes, all I ever said was, "Wally, your thoughts?"
No, I know,
really
but it was really good.
Wally,
the delivery.
The Sens, go.
Yeah.
No, buddy.
So,
I meant what I said. I meant what I said earlier. I don't want to turn this into an emotional love fest, but I so valued everything you did for us all those years, and like I said, it's great that you're having me on before TradeCenter because I think that's where you often did your best work, and we will desperately miss you this year as we always do. But I'm glad you're doing this, and it's an honor to be the 437th TSN person to come on your podcast.
Love
right
it.
after Gravy
I mean,
Boss,
like,
the cafeteria guy.
yeah, I did get turned down by Lester, so you did get moved up. So,
No, it was
thanks,
fun,
buddy.
boys. All the
Anyway,
best.
he's written 12 books. Here's the latest. It's Beauties. Pick it up. It's a great read. And of course, he doesn't have enough money, so if you could help, perhaps him feed the children, that'd be pretty good.
That's the most
James
truthful
Duthie.
thing you've said. You know, Meth has 4 dogs. I only have 2 because one of mine passed away, R.I.P. Buddha. But this dog right here, sorry, just before we leave. This is now the most expensive dog in the planet, all right? Not in purchasing. This is Willow. Willow has lost the use of her back legs. And so I basically carry her. Why can't I do this? I basically carry her everywhere. And her vet bills this year, I could have bought like a Lamborghini, I think, with her. Never got pet insurance. Probably the greatest mistake in my life. As I will, if TSN keeps me, I'll be working till I'm 90, just to pay off Willow's vet bill. So thank you, Meth. I feel for you.
Well, hopefully,
Yeah.
Hopefully this show will give you the break you need. So good luck on Monday, sir. We'll talk
right,
to you
boys.
soon. I'll be looking forward to watching. There goes James
Thanks a
Duthie,
ton,
broadcasting legend. He's won every conceivable award there is. So I can't say enough good things about him. He's always been very good to me. Matt, before, I don't know, do we have Craig on the beach by chance?
Probably not.
No, he's too.
Oh, God.
Oh, he's available.
There he is.
All right, hang on. Well, Parker Kelly's going to have to wait. Are you in the witness protection program? We came and see you.
Boys, I'm barely connected. I saw Wally have some internet problems, so I like to keep those chirps down because I'm in Mexico on like Mexican Wi-Fi, not in my house. Anyways, I can't see anything that's happening. That's about it. So, what's up, boys? How's the show going so far?
The show's gone to hell when Meth's internet is the best we got here. So, how's the weather?
It's unreal. 30 degrees here, super. I just switched quickly to my laptop, so I don't know if you can see. We're like right on the beach here, though, boys.
I can't see it.
No, I don't think I can.
No, don't even. I mean, the more you move, it just creates.
Boys.
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch anything. I'm going to sit perfectly.
And Craig, are you in Cancun? Where are you again?
Yeah, we're staying at Club Med in Cancun. And ironically, boys, I've seen 2 Send shirts here, and I saw a Send 1200 shirt here. So I think
Nice.
everybody had the right idea and came down south. Yeah, it's a nice.
Wow.
Beer's deep already?
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Well,
So what's happening?
Are you wearing your sunscreen?
I am sweating profusely. That's the other thing that I'm doing.
This is I don't know what to do with today's show, to be quite honest with you. So
Delete it.
we had some startup problems. So I don't know what's going to happen with Alex when we get done the show, but we need you to come back soon.
I'll be back in. You guys got I'll be the Friedman show. That'll be fun too. On Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. Yeah. So we'll talk about that. But I don't want to keep you from the beach and whatever do you have a lovely drink in your hand?
No, I just finished it waiting for it. I've been crushing beers actually this morning. Here's a weird thing.
Good for you.
The hour change here. Did you guys know that? It's not even 1 yet.
Oh,
I
No.
got up super late to this thing. So
That's good for
battle
you.
there.
You're
But
gonna
anyways,
nap
yes,
then, too.
I have some lunch here shortly. But yeah. Okay, I can't see
All right.
anything. I'm connected.
Okay, take
But
care.
I'm gonna sashay out of here before I wreck the show. So
Okay, have fun, buddy.
No, that happened a long time ago. Anyway, take care, Craig. By the way, Craig's appearance today brought to you by BEI, which we could help with a little bit of building and construction. BEI, Bonisher Excavating Inc. They specialize in equipment rentals, aggregate, topsoil sales. Visit bonisherexcavating.com. BEI, helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. If you're looking to get landscape rock as well, give them a call. Matt, before we go, I quickly got to ask you, Parker Kelly, we got a lot of comments in the show wanting your thoughts on that particular play on Connor Murphy in the Chicago game. There is no supplementary discipline for Connor Murphy or for Parker Kelly, and he did reach out and send him a text. We all know that Parker Kelly is a very good dude. I don't believe there's any malicious intent whatsoever in this particular play.
No, there's nothing to dissect there. It's just an unfortunate play where Murphy gets hurt. I didn't think it was dirty. You could even see Kelly sort of almost hold up a little bit, like he held up at the last second. He didn't follow through with it in a violent way. I'm glad that the league gave him the benefit, because I maybe there was a bit of a boarding there perhaps. And I'm not trying to be a homer. I want to be very clear here.
No.
I would straight up tell everybody if I thought it deserved 5 games. The Senators don't pay me. Nobody pays me. So I would just say that I thought it was okay. Now, if my concern moving forward, and because we heard DJ mention that Parker was a little down about it, I hope it doesn't take away from his game, because he plays on the edge.
Yes.
That's what makes him effective. You take that away from him, and then he's no longer Parker Kelly, right? He's not going to be the same player.
Right.
So as long as he sticks to his game, maintains that edge, I'm fine with it.
The one thing I've seen a lot of, and that's the victim blaming, right? Which I'm not a big fan of. Well, don't turn if you don't want to get hit. And he turned towards him. I get that.
Yeah.
But at some point, and you tell me, because I never played in the National Hockey League, is Parker Kelly not have to let up? Or do we think he let up enough anyway? There was going to be a collision. I understand Murphy turns. We can't just say it's on Murphy to not turn.
Yeah, and that's hard, because when I played, I was very physical along the boards, but I never dropped my shoulder in anybody because I would kill somebody, right? I was a lot bigger than a lot of players, so I would use my hands, a lot of pushing, so it's hard to compare. But you can't blame the player on the receiving end, obviously. That's ridiculous. I think it's just a freak accident, and it's a contact sport. Players are going to get hurt occasionally. That's okay. Yeah. Now, the Austin Matthews hit, that should be 5, 6, 7 games. There's no question. He's using his stick as a weapon. We could have a conversation. Yeah, I don't care if you're pissed off or what your reasoning is behind it. It's very clear that he was frustrated, which immediately eliminates that conversation that maybe it was an accident or something. I mean, that's insane. The intent, he was really angry, and the intent was to injure, and he should have been given at least 5 games. That's my honest opinion on it. Yes, I was trolling a little bit on Twitter when I made the comment that they should throw the book at him. But if it's an accident, if it's accidental, and this also applies to the Parker Kelly thing, if it's an accidental play, you can give them the benefit. But when it's that forceful contact that you can see from a frustrated player, that's a legitimate suspension.
I get it, but if you're going based off of the way the NHL has handed out discipline, it's not a 5-game suspension.
Oh, I'm agreeing with you.
And I'm with you. I think if you're going to try to take somebody's head off, you deserve more. There has to be some more kind of respect factor
prior
here.
History. I don't care.
But they allow this
if you
to
won
go.
The Lady. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if you've won the Lady Bing. If you go out of your way with intent to injure somebody with a reckless play, it shouldn't matter what your history is, right? Now, if you stick a knee out or you knee somebody, or it's maybe an accidental boarding or whatever it might be, then I would understand airing a caution, giving the player a little bit of the benefit, and not penalizing him past 5 games. But are you a cross check to the neck? Really?
Okay.
I mean, I was a physical player. I never got suspended.
So then we're going to go to Tom Wilson for a second. I'm going to try and jar your memory, because I didn't talk to you about this before. I believe Tom Wilson in that Ranger game, before he threw Panarin to the ground, I can't remember who he threw down. He cross-checked somebody in the back of the neck on the ice. He got suspended.
Yeah.
Well, is it the same?
The cross-check to the back of the neck?
Yeah, it's right near his neck.
Is that the play on Panarin that he went when he attacked him behind the play? Is that what you're talking about right now?
And then he got back up, and then he got thrown down. But beside the net, there's a cross check to the back of the neck. To me, it's the same, but he doesn't. Right? It's that inconsistency that bugs me.
Right. And what did Tom Wilson get for that? Do we remember what he got? Was it 7 games?
Did he get a fine?
Oh, he didn't get anything.
He didn't get suspended. I don't think he got suspended.
I don't remember the play. I'm not going to. I vaguely remember the play where he was scrambling against. They were playing New York. It was against Panarin in a scrum, and he went and grabbed Panarin. But the problem is Panarin I think gave him a good jab or shot prior to it. I'm not defending Tom Wilson. Anyway, I don't want to get into that because I'd have to watch the play again. I don't remember the small detail with regards to where he made contact, where he got hit with the cross check. So it's unfair for me to just pretend like I know what I'm talking about right now.
Fair enough. And I totally agree. And the one thing I'll give props to Darlene is he didn't really move.
No.
Do you notice that? He takes a cross check to the head and he just kind of.
I think part of that, but part of that could also just be like shock. Like you don't see that coming, especially from a player like Matthews, right? So you're just kind of like that. His neck might be incredibly sore today, and we just haven't heard anything about it yet. But in the moment when your blood's pumping, like I can recall countless times where I've been hit or cheap shot and I didn't feel it in the moment, but then the next day you can't even move that body part. So we'll have to wait and see if we hear more. But I'm okay with the suspension. I think would I have liked it to have been more for Matthews? Yes, but whatever. And Parker Kelly, same thing. I think the officials and the player safety department made the right call.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. We'll end it on that today, but I will remind you on Thursday is another live show. It is at 1, and it's going to be with Elliot Friedman as we tee up trade deadline day on Monday. So,
and Wally,
make sure you
why
stay
don't
for
you
that.
get Ethernet cable for the next show, maybe?
Because I'm going to go out and have a discussion with anybody that lives in my house who's on the internet at the moment that this is not appropriate.
All right, sounds good. Just take it easy on them, okay?
So I won't be having dinner tonight, or I'll be eating alone, one or the other.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna sort this out. As you know me, I take this well.
Yes, you do. Okay. All right. I feel bad. Let's just drop it.
All right. We'll see you on Monday, or no, Thursday. Take care, everybody. Thanks to James Duthie for stopping by. Much appreciated.
Bye.
That's the Wally Methot Show.